could be my new favorite side-by-side.
Hey everyone, Jim with Evolution Power Sports. Today we're back with the Kawasaki H2. We took a couple days off from development on it because we had a few projects that had to get finished. One was a Maverick R with our new P50 turbo system. We made 520 wheel horsepower on a Maverick R, which is pretty damn cool. And then we also got a Defender HD11 that we clutched, and my brother's tuning down in Arizona right now. So more to come on that. But we are back full time on the Kawasaki H2. And you know, we spent the last month really trying to do things in a very logical way as far as tuning, clutching, exhaust, so we can really measure the gains. And as I've said many times now, this car has a pretty big variation in what it makes for dyno numbers depending upon the density altitude. So we've wrapped all of that in and we've got some great information. All right, now as far as tuning goes, we've made some great power with the H2. Okay, the key to making power with supercharged car, especially this particular vehicle, is we have to run higher than stock RPMs. Okay, and the reason for that is that it's really the only way to make more boost. Okay, the faster we spin the engine, the more boost it's going to make. Stock we were seeing around 15 pounds of boost. At about 9,500, we're seeing a little over 20 pounds of boost. So that is giving us some power. But you can't just do clutching because the factory throttle opening limits and rev limits will interfere with trying to make more boost just through clutching. So the combination of tuning and clutching gives us the boost that we need to make a lot more power and just make the car a bit more drivable. Now, when we looked at the structure, the file structure of the ECU, like I said before, it's similar to other projects, but the one thing that this doesn't have is there's no ignition by basically boost pressure. Okay, so it doesn't have that functionality. Everything is by throttle position. And so Kawasaki does a good job of limiting power through a combination of closing the throttle, severe ignition retard, again by RPM, and then just dumping fuel once you exceed a certain threshold, and so all of those things can be changed. But the one thing is, and for now and where we're going, we need to be able to reduce ignition by boost pressure, and so we've actually incorporated some new mapping into the ECU that doesn't exist from the factory, that takes into account boost pressure when it does its final ignition calculation. Okay, and the reason why it's important that we did that is we wanted to build in like a true multi-map setup where our customers can use the power modes to actually change octane fuels. Okay, so we have now incorporated where your mid mode is basically your 91 octane tune, makes 20 pounds of boost when you clutch it properly, but we have ignition retard by boost pressure, so that way if let's just say you break a belt, or let's just say your clutching's way off and now you're up at like 9,800, we have the ability now to reduce that ignition as the boost pressure climbs. Okay, that does not exist in the ECU stock. That's something that we did. And now when we go to high power mode, now we have completely separate ignition maps, and we can make more power just through controlling that ignition timing, and obviously it's making more boost with the additional RPMs through clutching. So now in high power mode, we have a completely different set of ignition maps to where we can run 100 octane fuel, utilize that extra ignition timing to make more power, and you have true multi-map capability with one tune, which is killer. So that's what we wanted to make sure, that we weren't just doing, you know, some kind of basic tune. We wanted to give customers, you know, something extra that they could use and be really practical with. And that does use the OEM power mode switch, but we are designing a locking mechanism for it so that, you know, if you want to go up in power, you actually have to move something over so you can switch it up. We don't want customers to accidentally be running in high mode or bump the switch and they have pump gas in it. So we've really thought it through, built-in safety features to it, and it's really a great tuning option where you can have, you know, both your you know, pump gas, which makes more than, you know, quite a bit more than stock, and your race gas tunes in one tune. Okay, and I'll show you on the dyno graph how effective this is. Okay, so your the first trace, or actually I'm sorry, the orange trace is your mid power mode. Okay, that is a 91 octane tune, gives you full throttle and a 91 octane ignition curve. Okay, and you can see that we made 234 wheel horsepower with that. The high octane tune is 242. And most of that, or all of that additional power comes through ignition. And then stock is 223. Now, this stock run had quite a bit less humidity in the air than either of these two runs. So from what we've seen, these numbers will probably, if it was same on all three runs, there'd probably be another 3, 4, maybe 5 horsepower on the tune files compared to stock. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is exhaust. Now, we've, a couple weeks ago I said we would have exhaust results posted, and we didn't post them, and for good reason. So I want to just show you guys how many runs, you know, dyno runs we have done here. It's probably 200 since we got the H2, okay, plus the field testing that we've done. So we've got a really good handle on how much power the car makes on a given day. And when we did the exhaust testing, we did some baselines with the stock exhaust, stock tune, stock clutching, and then we put our race bypass on. And honestly, we were expecting like 10, 12 horsepower. You know, with all the different 180s that the factory exhaust did, we're like, there's no way that, you know, that can be efficient. But what I'll tell you is that the exhaust did not make that big a difference. It's maybe 1 or 2% with, you know, a free-flowing exhaust. And I'm not talking about a header now. I'm just talking about, you know, deleting the factory, you know, suitcase that's on the side of the car. There was only a few horsepower difference, okay, which was really surprising. But, and the reason why we didn't post the numbers initially is it was really difficult to tell run to run because of the power inconsistency. Number one, you're fighting throttle closure issues when you get up higher in the RPM. The second reason is the clutching, there's belt slippage going on during the run. So you'd have the run, one run would be nice and clean, a very good trace. Next run, it would have a big dip in it. And this is both with and without the exhaust. So we felt like there was really no way to get any good data using the stock tune with the stock clutching. So all of that testing, and I can show you how many tests we did, probably 15, 20 dyno runs that way. And then we said, you know, we got to tune this car first. That'll be a much better representation because, you know, you're flowing more air through the engine. The differences between a stock exhaust and one that bypasses the main muffler should be more apparent with more power. But the fact is, there's really not that much difference. So if you come over here, this test was done I believe it was last week. The red trace is with our bypass. The blue trace is the stock exhaust. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another set of runs. Here, we'll delete the first two. Okay, so that would be our exhaust, run 2. And this will be the stock exhaust, run 2. Okay, you can see that there's a little power difference here. And then for run 3, we'll delete those two. And then run 3 here. By run 3, there's a bit of a difference. Okay, it's about a 4 horsepower difference between the two. And, you know, and all I can tell you is that, you know, Kawasaki did a good job with the exhaust. There are benefits to having, you know, a bypass pipe. Number one is heat. You know, the heat is terrible that comes off of that factory canister, and all of that radiates around, you know, the engine and transmission. So that's not a great thing. When you delete that, obviously, you get a much sportier sound out of the machine. Okay, I think that's most of the reason why people buy exhaust. But you know, as far as, you know, just doing a muffler delete, there's not going to be a lot of power to be had at these, you know, basically at this boost pressure and this power level. The jury's out on the header. We have a couple of header designs that we'll be testing late this week, early next week. You know, our expectation is there will be some power in the header, but you know, on the delete pipe, it's a few horsepower. So a couple other points on the exhaust. So these tests were done within 15 minutes of each other. Okay, so we know 100% that the results are accurate and they're good. But I'm not telling you not to buy an exhaust, because there are really good reasons to buy an exhaust for the H2. And, you know, and this is why the H2 is one of the coolest cars out on the market today, right? It sounds like a super bike with an exhaust on it. There's no other vehicle in the industry that sounds as cool as the Kawasaki with a muffler bypass on it. All right, and the last thing I want to mention is, you know, we've shaved about 4 to 5 tenths off 0 to 60 with tuning, clutching, and you know, the car is completely transformed. I mean, it now lights up the tires, still not right from a dead standstill, but about 10 feet out. Now you can spin the tires, even with our drag slicks on it. So the performance has come around quite a bit with very minor changes, and this car is one of my new favorite cars. But stay tuned for more H2 stuff coming soon.